Have you or someone you know been caught in a financial scam? Block divers are intelligence professionals who specialize in financial crime. When scams use crypto as their mechanism, most people discover law enforcement can't recover their money because there's no dedicated agency for this new asset class. Block divers not only trace stolen funds, they're the only firm that gives you a real course of action to reclaim them. Visit blockdivers.com. Block Divers, uncovering blockchain truth. This is Team Harrow, where resilience meets leadership. I'm your host, Ben Harrow, combat veteran, special forces soldier, and entrepreneur. Each week, we dive into powerful stories from high performers who lead, adapt, and overcome. Let's get after it.
3, 2, 1, launch. Sandy.
So good to see you, buddy.
Dude, it's been a while.
It's been a while.
We were just talking outside before, and I was trying to think, I guess it was the last time I saw you up in Maryland?
In Maryland, probably 2019, maybe? Right around 20, maybe?
Yeah, it
no,
been
you left
before COVID.
Did you leave before COVID?
No. I left 2021. We officially moved down here in 2021.
Yeah. So
we planned on moving down here in 2020 and started the process, but I think Peyton stopped playing, or not stopped playing hockey, maybe stopped going to the rink that you were running before COVID and the shutdown of everything there, which I'd love to get into too.
Yeah,
just
crazy.
To be, as I formally introduce you here, but it's just really two dudes like that haven't seen each other
in a while. I know.
Yeah, bro hugging and high-fiving.
I was telling them out front how I met you. Where it was
How did we meet?
It was at Rockville.
The rink? Like an open ice session?
It was an open ice session, and there were all these cameras, like filming kind of in the corner, but all of us on the ice, like we're like, what are they filming? We couldn't see anything. And then we walked over there, and you didn't have your legs on.
Yeah,
you
couldn't see anything because I'm sitting on the ground.
Yeah, I couldn't see above the boards. And then we just started talking.
Yeah.
And I honestly, one of the first things is then like when you came out on the ice, I remember we were taking some shots on you, and I think I said something to you, like just kind of like BSing, like I'll just shoot it over you, and you're like, go ahead and try it, and I'm like, who's this dude? You know, like, right off the bat, I'm like, I like this guy. So that's how it was.
No, I remember. That's right.
Rockville.
I do remember running at the Rockville ice rink when I used to go there during basically like my lunch break. They'd have those like open ice sessions on like Tuesday and Thursday. Stick time. Yeah.
That's right.
And when I was still playing sled hockey, that's basically how I would get like real practice. I felt like of just able-bodied dudes ripping slap shots at me.
That's exactly what it was.
I remember I'd always have to say like, hey guys, first off, don't take it easy.
Yeah.
Like I'd always say, the bomb didn't kill me. Your shot's not going to do anything to me. I promise you.
So deflating.
Yeah.
Because that's what we were like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
You know? And that's right off the bat. I was like, I'm not going to take it easy on this
guy. And then you guys would just bomb it at me from the blue line, and I would catch it or get a piece of it. But every time I caught it, it would just sting so hard. And I remember like, Ben, you shouldn't have said anything.
It's unreal. How did you end up picking goalie of all the things?
So when I first started playing hockey, when I was like 5 years old, I just gravitated towards the goal because they were like, all right, who wants to play goalie for the games? And of course, like nobody really wants to play goalie. And I just thought it was kind of cool. Like you get this extra equipment. Like you're kind of like this special player. Like it's just you and goal.
So you played goalie in hockey growing up?
Up until about Pee-wees, which would have been like our age, like 12, 13, something like that. Yeah. And I just remember I grew out of the goalie equipment, and hockey being an expensive sport and us not being a wealthier household. My parents were like, abracadabra, you're now a right wing.
You're a soccer player now.
Yeah. And, but I loved playing goalie growing up. It was like my first love and passion, and I just loved, diving across the crease and like getting a piece of something.
You weren't a lax goalie though, right? Like,
no.
Yeah.
So I didn't get into lacrosse till like 7th or 8th grade, and it was really only because my hockey coach was like, "Hey, during the summer, go to a hockey camp, but pick up a lacrosse stick. Like do something different, but there's some similarities, right? And obviously lacrosse and hockey, it transfers so much." And that's how I got into lacrosse. And I just, it was something different. I just started to excel at it. I was a pretty good hockey player. I wasn't a great hockey player, but I felt like I was able to make myself a great lacrosse player. You can do a lot more on your own, I feel like, with lacrosse than hockey. Yeah, you can do some dry ice, or dry land stuff, and stick handle with a golf ball.
Because at the root of it, right? For hockey, we were talking about earlier. There's obviously like the skating component, right?
Yeah.
So you're developing your skating, your sticks. It's so many different things you're developing. Whether it's soccer or lacrosse, I'm not minimizing the skills there.
Yeah.
There's no like running training. Like just start running around, and that's like what you do when you're a kid anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah. So like all hockey guys seem like they play, because I played lacrosse also. All hockey guys play lacrosse. Like not all lax guys play hockey.
Yeah.
But and I think it's a great crossover. We were talking about it earlier. I think being a good, well-rounded, gritty, tough athlete is still the most important thing. Like you can specialize, but play a lot of things.
Yeah.
I
think that's something, and I know we're jumping all over the place, and I haven't even formally introduced you. Let's start with that, though. Right. How about you tell a little bit about besides how we know each other, your background, where you grew up, the sports that you were doing, and what you're, and then we'll kind of get into what you're doing now.
So born and raised in the Maryland area.
Yeah.
And exclusively played hockey as a younger kid, and even so much now. I wouldn't say it was like a blue collar sport. It was like a niche sport.
Yeah.
So not everybody was doing it, but my age group, within a couple birth years, it was pretty talented, and we were making a little bit of noise, playing 12 months a year, and wanted to play in college. Wanted to pursue it, and at that time, it's certainly not like it is now. It was like the prep school route.
Yeah.
If you want to get seen and get noticed. So went up to New England, played a prep school there. A lot more exposure.
What school was that?
St. George's.
Okay.
Newport, Rhode Island.
Okay. So did you play like Andover?
All those
and
schools.
Okay.
Yeah. Deerfield,
Yeah.
Belmont Hill,
Yeah.
Loomis, all those schools. Yeah. Loved the experience. I look back on it now. It's like, the school literally is on like the top of a cliff in Newport, Rhode Island.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. Had a great experience there. Also played lacrosse there. Loved both of it. Ended up, obviously hockey was the dream. College in Ohio, played there. And was in the coaching business when I got out, like from a skill development standpoint. Always wanted to be around the game. It's, my number one passion. Did some other things, but was always close to the game. And when we met each other, I was so proud of this accomplishment. We built the largest hockey training and development facility in the country. And basically, if someone had given me a check, like when I was 12 years old, and said, go do whatever you want, like, this is what I would have built, right?
Yeah.
So
that's amazing that you're able to build your dream. Yeah. And I got to say, I always admired like the love and care that you took at that play. Like whenever I brought Peyton there for training sessions, you were always there. Like it wasn't like
loved it.
It wasn't just like you built it and you owned it. Like you were running it. Like the day to day. And then from like a business standpoint, we could talk about this too. Like your family had a family owned business. You ran a business. I'm in charge of a business now. I've seen successes and failures. But like the people that really are in it, like the day to day, and really know like the ongoings of it, like those are, I feel like, the successful businesses. But you also have to have that drive and passion and love of it. Like,
well, and you bring up a good point though, because like for a year, right? I designed it, we built it, everything.
It was artificial ice,
all synthetic.
Yeah, all synthetic ice.
First one essentially in the country to do an entire facility. Off synthetic, right? But you go through that point where you're like, is this a hobby or is this a business, right? And I tried to talk myself out of this for a year. I was running the numbers and blah, blah, blah. And I couldn't find a way for it to not make money.
Yeah.
And the whole goal always was be a developmental, experiential facility. Pros, kids like your son, boys, girls at all levels. We were just in the development business. Don't care who you play for.
Yeah.
This person's no different from that person. If you love the sport, you want to get better, we could hit any player in that. So loved it. And we'll talk about that, but COVID was a challenge. all of a sudden the world closed and we had this 30,000 square foot facility and
still had to pay rent in the DC area.
There are challenges there. I mean, won't name any names, but they did not make it easy for us.
Sure.
We weren't.
Was that pretty much, we'll call it like the nail in the coffin, or like the thing that like eventually like was like we just can't keep it?
It was so. The business, as you know, so we did lessons, we did camps, there was a membership there. I mean, it was totally all across the board.
Yeah.
So when all that happened, we didn't not just not have money coming in, like we had money going out. All the people who had said, look, we love the facility, we got a summer camp booked.
Yeah.
The place is going to be closed. What are you going to do? So always tried to take the high road with it. We'd been in the community. The community welcomed it, from day one. But yeah, that was a challenge when you're mandated to be closed.
Yeah. And
you're still paying, and you don't know when you're going to be open.
You're just bleeding capital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we spent so much time building up the membership component. I mean, COVID was terrible for everybody. I'm not a woe is me thing. But yeah, I mean, that was like your life dream that you see that there's nothing that really could be done. I mean, it kind of was what it was. It just it became very challenging. So
have they opened up is that place like, what did you sell it? Did somebody buy it from you? Is it open now?
Yeah, well, so not as a hockey facility, but it reopened as a pickleball facility.
Oh, okay.
And I know someone involved in that, and it's just like it's so easy, they just open the doors, and I'm like, why didn't we do that? So it just had to kind of shut it down as ethically as we could, and somewhere along the line, as a developmental entity, and I'm still kind of in that business, my thought was always like, you as a family, a parent, I've always wanted to say, I have the best interest of you and your child involved. I don't care what they do. Like, we're trying to build great people. For me, hockey's always just been the vehicle, whatever. If you're going to be a great person, right? So I always wanted to maintain that. I didn't want to be affiliated exclusively with this or that. I always wanted
like
to be able to say,
the club specific type.
Yep.
I see that now in soccer, and I've the best coaches that Peyton trains with now, for the most part, are guys like that are. One of them in particular, he coaches at one club. Peyton actually plays for another club, but it doesn't matter. He just wants to see my son develop to be at the highest level that he can.
And all the coaches that was so fortunate that helped build that culture there, that's how they were. They were involved with other stuff, but it was like, at the end of the day, if we're trying to help build great people and good hockey players, like I don't care who you play for. You know? So that wasn't always welcomed. I don't know if that's a business model in bigger established markets where that's always welcomed. I think some people think it's predatory.
I think I just saw something about the Dallas Stars. Did you see that about like the monopoly that they have in the ice rinks down there?
Something similar was happening in Florida, they say, with some of the programs here. And I get it. I mean, there's a lot of money in youth sports, and everyone kind of aligns to their sides. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's a bad thing to remember, like, this is about the kids, and very rarely is it the kids who are like jacking it up. It's it's the parents, the adults. So fast forward, after that was done, I was always was fortunate, had a lot of really, really talented clients. Was always dialed into the mindset part, kind of what's making the engine go, and it wasn't always the most talented. It was who's going to get back up, who's the grittiest, the most resilient. And I spent a lot of time on that, when I was in college, and learned from a lot of great coaches and environments. So I got into the coaching side of it on the mindset piece. What most people say mental toughness, I say mindset. When I first started, I think it was relatively new. And like the pro or the higher level players that I would work with, they didn't know what was wrong, but they knew something wasn't the best it could be. Right? They couldn't put their finger on it, right? And 9 times out of 10, I think it was mindset. It's a different athlete today than when you and I were younger. It's like, stop being a pussy, go get tougher, when we were younger. And to some degree, that's may be relevant, but the mindset piece is so big.
I see that now, and it's funny. We were just talking about like what I'm doing personally, other like aspirations and things that I want to do and focus on, and something that I would love to. We'll have to talk more about this afterwards too, but try and figure out a solution or a fix for. Like I think the best businesses are businesses that like solve a problem, right? There's something missing. And I think that we both lived it in youth sports. You lived it coaching and running your facility. I'm living it now with my son going through it. I'd be interested to think if maybe it works within the dance community because my daughter's a huge dancer, but probably, I mean, mental toughness mentality, right?
That. Yeah. So if you had to go on the record real quick, which, because hockey parents are notoriously a little bit on one side. If you had to say where is the intensity more? Is it on the dance parents or the hockey parents?
I think it's the dance parents are more cutthroat. I don't know if cutthroat's the right word. More intense.
Which is amazing. Knowing how intense the hockey parents are.
I mean, I remember I played in a hockey tournament down in Pennsauken, New Jersey in spring. It was a big tournament for us down there, and it was like the Philly teams and the Southern New Jersey teams, and we would come down from Long Island, and I don't remember if it was our game. I was a bantam, so maybe it was either us or the midgets afterwards, but parents are getting into it in the stands.
Still happens in that part of the country. That still happens. Yeah, not much has changed.
The cops came. Yeah, the canines, so like they had the dogs, you know, and it was just like very, very intense. That is so funny. Yeah. Now I haven't seen a fight break out amongst the dance moms, but it's because it's women. I think it's a little bitchier. Yeah, it's a little more subdued, but very bitchy.
Mind games. Yeah. It's a smarter way of fighting.
Yes. Yeah. It's chess, not checkers over there.
That's right. Yeah.
But I remember I brought Marchesa to dance one time because usually Gina and I like divide and conquer, and I'm usually taking Peyton into soccer, or she's taking Marchesa to dance.
Friday, you're like, see ya.
Yeah. Like just shifts past it in the night.
That's right.
I remember dropping her off at dance, and I maybe because I was the new guy, maybe I don't know if it was because of Marchesa, but I definitely felt like a little bit of like ostracized of like, who are you and what are you doing here?
Yep.
And then, but just listening to them, so I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm not here to make friends. I'm just here to drop my daughter off. I'm gonna check my phone, emails, but listening to the conversations that they're talking about with like, you know, uniforms and who's in the dance squad and who's getting the teacher next year.
Unreal,
and like, I understand cutthroat sports, right? And youth sports can be cutthroat. But the dance world is definitely a notch up. Those go to 11.
So does she travel a lot? Like, is there travel?
Yeah. So she hasn't gone out of state yet. She was supposed to go to New York over the summer when we were in Spain, but instead she did some other national event, which she turned out coming in first and winning a scholarship for.
Nice.
Which I was like, I thought you guys were just going to like dance camp. I had no idea. And talking to her on the phone when we were in Spain, I was like, I thought you guys were just doing like training.
I had no idea.
No idea.
Yeah.
But she's sending me pictures and videos every day of her dancing. I'm like, oh, it's awesome. You know, like
like the costumes and
but like
a big part of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So
outfits,
all of it. Yeah. And then, but it's interesting. It's the same thing for sports. I think now, and going back to what my original thought, like there's a lot of individual training that parents request, schedule. It's different than when you and I played hockey or lacrosse.
Yep.
We had practice, and that was kind of it. And if you wanted something else, like then you go play pickup with your friends, or you go home and throw against the wall, or maybe you can get some extra ice here or there. But it's like it's really on you. Nowadays, it's like, hey, practice is, maybe every day during the week or 3 times during the week. But mommy and daddy are now going to schedule a one-on-one training session with like a coach. We
were on the ice a ton, you know, even as a kid. I mean, and I loved it. I don't regret one bit. My parents didn't push me there. I loved it. But yeah, your point is right. There was, if you wanted more ice, it was another team and more camp or whatever. There was no like private one-on-one specialized training.
Yeah.
You know.
And not even just the specialized one-on-one training, but it's like I didn't have the strength and conditioning stuff until I was in like high school, maybe, but definitely college.
Yep.
You know, a D1 lacrosse program, you have practice, and then you have a strength and conditioning coach.
It's a whole other
nother level, and you have a trainer.
Yep.
Now kids that are 12 have a soccer coach,
Yeah.
have a strength and conditioning coach,
I know it.
have a fucking trainer. You know what I mean? Like, and I wonder if that's killing the resiliency and grit of modern day athletes because it's so handed to them.
Yep.
And it's not, it's the saying of like the Green Beret, it's always earned, never given.
Yep.
And like the resiliency piece, I wonder if we're almost doing our kids a disservice by like wanting to do the right thing as parents. As a parent, you want to give your kid like every opportunity in the world. And
they get the better life than you had.
Exactly. I get it. But I also have to take a step back sometimes, and I wonder, is it a disservice in a way, or do I need to pace myself a little bit by just being like, hey, dude, I got you a lesson today. We got practice tomorrow. I'm going to take you to do a training session with this coach, and we're working plyometrics on
So
Wednesday.
I have a thought about this.
Yeah.
This is my thought. Because I'm kind of in that world. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm speaking both sides out of my mouth. I think that the environment has to be, I think it's a very healthy environment to grow where the child, it's okay for them not to know what step to take next. That's okay. There has to be a hunger, though, for a dream, right? There has to be acknowledgement that I'm trying to go over there. I don't know how I'm going to get there. That's fine. That's where the parents come into play. That's where the other resources come into play. But if there isn't a drive for next level fill in the blank, that I think is a tough sign.
Yeah.
I do believe that can be built. I think it can be grown. I think it can be structured and clarified for a younger mind where they understand that. But when it just becomes lesson over here, this over there, all of a sudden it's like the horizontal line. The line's got to be vertical.
Yeah.
Something has to be the most important. Therefore, something is a little bit less important. But I do think that it has to be driven by the child.
Oh, 100%.
Like the oomph, like what you were talking about with your son. Like, it's got to be their thing. They have to want it.
It's a delicate, as a parent, as an athlete, as a parent coach, like
as a dance dad.
Yeah, as a dance dad. it's a delicate balance of, I feel like, of giving them the opportunities, but like showing it to them like, hey, it's on the shelf, but I need you to go pick out like what you want to do on the shelf. And I saw it a lot growing up playing hockey of parents that like just shoved hockey down kids' throat. And surprise, surprise, when they went off to Canada to go play juniors and mom and dad wasn't around, like things imploded. I'm sure you've seen the same thing.
I may have even shared this with you. So I've had experiences before where back to the training facility where we were 4 seasons, right? So we were always kind of promoting something for the next season or whatever, camps or whatever. And multiple times, I think, well-intended, but probably not well executed, families would come and say, what, you have 7 weeks of camp? I want you to sign my kid up for all 7 weeks and lessons in this. And multiple times, I'm not saying this is the honest to God's truth. I would say to them, we appreciate the support, I promise you. But like, I'm telling you now this as the person that owns this, don't do this to your kid. And this is someone who's like, just swipe the card.
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't do that. You can't.
Yeah, just take my money.
Yeah, for that very reason. And I don't belittle them. They're trying to, they think their kid loves it, whatever. Yeah. But it's too much. Yeah. It's too much.
No, I see it now, especially down here with soccer. And a lot of our friends are Brazilian or from South America. So, you think that you and I like hockey. Soccer to them is a different level, right?
It's cultural, right?
It is. It's cultural. It's a little cultish. Yeah. But to some of the parents that have these ambitions for their kids, maybe in a positive manner, they want their kid to see their kid succeed and become a professional soccer player and just be successful. But I see it because I lived through youth sports and I'm living in youth sports now. Like, dude, you're just burning your kid out, and I see the breadcrumbs that he does not want it.
That's right.
But it's not for me to be like, hey, dude, you shouldn't be doing that. Like, how do you tell a parent how to parent? I'm not licensed. Yep. I'm a friend, but it's really difficult and tough to see.
So when I say make it, right? So a lot of the athletes I work with, and when I say it, the ones who make it, what I'm really talking about is the ones who maximize their potential, right? And I'm stripping that back. That I ultimately don't care. If hockey is the vehicle that makes you become to chase the dream of being a lawyer, or it teaches it, whatever it is, right? Yeah. And I work with a lot of pros, and my approach is still the same. That the making it is maximizing the potential.
Yeah.
So if that really becomes the goal and that's the dream, I think one of the biggest things that has kind of shifted away from that, as it relates to the parents, is that desire to want to protect first.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's okay to let them fall. Teaching them to get back up is more important than not letting them fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I see it a lot, and I know because you played high-level sports and are very accomplished. You can just tell. You can look at a younger person. They could be the most skilled one out there. Pick the activity.
Yeah.
They're not a pit bull. It's not their fault, but that they just don't, that it factor.
Yeah.
And why would they know? No one's ever shown them. No one's trained them to do it. They haven't had to be trained in pressure situations. So then when pressure happens, everything's new and you panic. But I agree with you that it's.
So is that part of it? Is a great
segue
to promote the book.
Yeah,
Hopefully it's in the camera shot.
Yep.
99 rules every sports parent needs to know. This is book number 2.
Book number 2, yeah. So the first one, which I sent you, full disclosure, I was not a humongous reader when I was younger.
Yeah. Hockey player, obviously.
Yeah, whatever. But so I wanted to write something.
Yeah.
That I thought at first would be, sports guys, we love kind of quotes and inspirational, motivational. So the first book was 99 Rules Every Athlete Needs to Know.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that, I sat down, wrote it, and people seemed to like it, and you can open up to any page and whatever. And quickly what I started to see, and this conversation I think is evident of it, because there's no rule on or program on how to be a parent. Like, kids are born, you're like, here you go, But being a sports parent, I've seen a lot of stuff, good and bad. So I spent a lot of time, and I ended up writing a book essentially for the sports parent. So a lot of the things that we're talking about, they're quick one-hitters, but they talk about a lot of those things. The car ride to the rink, or toward the activity, the car ride home, and, how to give feedback without criticizing, how to inspire, and how to be a parent first and foremost. Like, it's not a how-to book on how to be a parent.
Yeah.
But it does emphasize that job number 1 is being the parent. Not the kids don't want another coach.
Yeah.
They don't want to get in the car and just,
It's funny that you say that.
It's tough, but
Gina said that about circling back to being a dance dad. I guess there was something that happened at one of the dance weekend events, tournaments, I guess we'll call it competitions. Dance competitions, what they call it.
You're getting in so much trouble. You're like, expose.
Yeah. And I guess the dance coach, kind of maybe ripped into the kid a little bit, and the parent, the mom, or Gina saw maybe the mom do something around the same time. Like Gina was like, listen, the dance coach needs to be the dance coach. You first and foremost need to play parent.
That's right.
Like, that's it. Like, there's a reason that they're the coach.
That's right.
They need to have that attitude. They need to tell your daughter whatever she's ripping into her for, because this is her world. She's trying to put on the best dance production, the best dance team. She's the dance coach. You don't also need to then rip into your daughter for X, Y, and Z and make it worse. Like, at first and foremost, your mom.
It's their thing. Like, the hardest part, and I saw my parents go through it. We've all been through it. That, it's like whatever your son does on the soccer field, outside of the character and integrity and stuff like that, his performance, like, that doesn't define him. It certainly doesn't define you.
Yeah.
It doesn't define your family. It's what he does, even as he progresses. And understanding that split, that good game or bad game, it's like, that's not a reflection on the parent. It's just, it was a good game or a bad game.
Yeah.
It's okay for it to be that.
Yeah.
How do you handle that? How do you pick the kid back up? How can you steer them so, we don't kind of live in in the bad, you know, we kind of steer them towards the good, kind of the now what theory, like, well, how can we make it better next time? Like that's the steering.
Yeah.
You know, and I think parents can play a big role, but you got to fight the instinct or fight the desire to want to correct, coach, parent, disciplinarian. It's like you got to pick your lane.
Yeah.
Those are my thoughts, and I've seen it at all levels. I'm sure you have too. You know,
I've seen a lot of stuff on YouTube, and I'm interested to get your pick on it. You know, and you mentioned it, the conversation going to the game and coming from the game, and what that as a supportive parent, or what you think that every parent should like know about that. What would be some feedback that you would give parents?
I think the most important thing, and it was like rule number 1 in the other book, this isn't cheesy, this isn't anything, is the fun component. That's why we're doing this. I don't care what level, what activity, if it's not fun, right? And that's important because in the fun is where the magic happens. That's where kind of some of the inspiration happens. So that's a big deal. But parents, I think, can get athletes to very outcome focused, right? Win, lose. It was good, bad. When the irony is that outcomes matter, of course, stats, wins, losses, but the true irony is to get the good outcomes, like where should the focus be placed? Where can the development be placed? And that's in the actions and behaviors that, oh, by the way, when and if you do them, the only outcomes are going to be over here. But one, I would say, is a controllable. The other one is an impact area. And I think that most athletes, when you get very in touch with the controllables, even the parent, what can we control? I can impact a shift. I can impact a game. I can't play every position. Right? I can't control the outcome. So I think steering thoughts, when parents can start to steer thoughts to actions and behaviors, not only does it empower the athlete, we start talking specifics. If you want to get specifics out, put specifics in, right? Mm-hmm. But that word focus, right? Focus is the centerpiece for all mindset work, called mental toughness, mental performance. Your ability to be right here, right now. Not 10 minutes ago, not next game, not last shift, not 3 games ago.
In the present and in the zone.
Right here, right now. That's right. So anything that doesn't start there, the implications of that could be low confidence, low self-esteem, bad habits, but I normally can track it back to focus. So where I think parents can be a big help is helping to narrow in on those 2 or 3 things, actions, that when and if you do them, great results. So an example could be if parents help reinforce, pick your sport, outwork everyone, make plays, take chances, everything's at full speed. Those are all action related, totally within your control, from belief to grit to resiliency to focus. That becomes pretty empowering, right? That becomes pretty targeted. So we move, I would say, away from broad awareness to deep focus. Those are 2 different things. And I think a lot of times parents can help steer focus, and that's where I think performance can really happen. I know it's a long-winded answer, but
I totally get it.
Yeah.
I probably don't articulate it as beautiful as you just did.
Appreciate that. We're done here.
Yeah. Yeah, wrap it up. But I always tell Peyton, like, just focus on the things that you can control.
That's right.
It's how you receive the ball, the touch on the ball, the pass that you make, your effort, your hustle. Just worry about that. Everything else will fall into place. Just worry about that. Right.
So he's I did it when I was his age. I'm sure you did it. I was just talking to a whole bunch of players in Michigan that they do it. That it's like so Simon Sinek, in one of his famous speeches, he's like, okay, he walks up to an audience member and he's like, the brain can't comprehend negatives, right? So like right now, don't think about an elephant.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody thinks about an elephant.
Yeah.
So I do that kind of sometimes in those speeches, and I say, why is that relevant to the people in this room? It's because how many times a parent also, or an athlete, okay, here's the pregame or the pre-compete thought. Don't be nervous. Don't turn the ball over. Don't turn the puck over. Don't this. Don't do that. Like I understand what you're trying to program.
Yeah.
But it's almost like you're inviting yourself into like the hole
Yeah.
and then trying to dig out of it.
Dig out of the hole.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think it's very empowering for athletes at all levels and parents to understand this, that you don't have to get sick to get better. You know, like we can start right now.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that we do want? And you can almost kind of turn 180 degrees away from the don'ts, because the brain can only handle so much stuff. So what if we fill it with only that which we do want, the things you are in control of, and you're not like lugging, that heavy shit up the mountain with you. Your focus is much more intense because you're specific.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you play almost lighter, and like going back to being like any game I've ever played in where I just feel like a step faster.
Yep.
I'm just throwing like a little bit harder. I'm in the zone. Like we all, as an athlete, everyone has experienced like the zone.
That's right.
Right. And you just feel so light and focused, and you're just present in the moment, focusing on the play, focusing on the puck, and you're not thinking, oh my God, don't mess this up.
So a good way, like if I try to explain to somebody, what I do, I would say, if your son was here, I would say, okay, it's not going to happen, but Peyton, I want you to think about if the game you're going to play this weekend, let's say Saturday, it's going to be the last soccer game you ever play. Does he call it soccer or football? What is
soccer?
It all right,
we're not that European yet.
Thank you. Yeah. But if you said this is going to be your last soccer game you ever play, your family's going to be there, your parents, your friends, whatever. How do you think you would play? And I say, here are your options: like lights out, best game ever, all gas, no brakes, or D, all of the above. I've never met an athlete at any level. You were an athlete also. If I said that to you, you'd be like, all the above.
Yeah.
Right? And then I say, well, why is that? Why, right? And the answer, sometimes they'll say, oh, it's my last chance, or I want to go out with a bang, whatever. Yeah. Really what they're saying is there's no fear, no hesitation, no negative what ifs, right? Miss the goal 3 times, what are you going to pack it in? You take 10 more shots, right? So we kind of move away from that dwelling, right? And I bet your son would say the same thing. And then I always say, well, what I do is help you feel like that every single time you interact with the sport. Imagine if that was the feeling every time, right? And every player says what we just said, and you're able to kind of show, like, in that last minute, we didn't make you stronger, we didn't make you bigger, we didn't make you. The only thing that shifted was in your brain. You kind of let go of some stuff and honed in on, there is no tomorrow. This is it.
Yeah.
I'm going for it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the relevance of mindset in sports and really in anything.
In life.
Yeah.
So Mental Edge Hockey, talk to me about that.
So Mental Edge Hockey, so that was the business that I started that does mindset development work, whether it's we work with entire teams, a lot of custom work, a lot of one-on-one, pro, all the way through, players your son's age, where we customize mindset development training, where we go. So when I say mindset, I mean we got belief, attitude, grit, focus, emotional control, discipline, self-awareness. Some combination of those 7, add them up together, those people have pretty solid mindset. Those kind of the big 7. So I think the anchors of those 2, we mentioned it earlier, you're wired for this, is that grit component. Grit and focus are kind of the anchors. So everybody's different. They're different on the spectrum, but we focus on helping players understand how they interact with those 7 components, how they're in control, what they're in control over, pre-game, in-game resets, all of it. And most of our work now is on the one-on-one side, right? I wanted to try and make a difference. Like, that was just me. I wanted to have impact, and I didn't want to talk to 200 people and try to move everybody on a mark, because everybody's different, right? But those 7 things, though, are, those are the anchors, right?
I feel like the terms grit and resiliency come up more so maybe like nowadays than when you and I were growing up. And maybe it was just like a different label, like that guy's just a tough motherfucker, right? And not, instead of being like
a different time.
Yeah.
Different time.
Yeah.
I think today's, what I see in the hockey space, certainly in lacrosse, from a skill standpoint, Their stick skills are better. Their hands are better.
It's a
they're
faster
bigger.
game. Like every sports
right.
across the board, I feel
right.
like are just faster than when we were growing up.
Where I think that they're lacking though is game awareness. So like hockey IQ or like knowing the game.
Yeah.
And certainly that grit component. We were just grittier probably because we had to be.
Yeah.
And again, it's not their fault. It's a different world.
But do you think, because I've been asked this question before, are you born with the grit, or is it something that you develop later on in life?
I love that. I think that you might be born with it. You certainly can develop it. And if you don't have it, you can get it.
Yeah, I think it's like a muscle.
It's intentional.
You know, some people are just born, they can squat 500 pounds because genetically they just got, they're muscular legs.
Yep.
Some people have to work to squat 500 pounds.
Yep.
But I think that the resilience and grit piece for everyone is a muscle that maybe you started off a little more than I did, but based off of practice, upbringing, environment,
parents,
everything. There's so much that goes into that to create your, like that grit muscle, that resiliency piece.
We had less.
Yeah.
There weren't all these specialized coaches and all this stuff.
Yeah.
The world was different, and I think grit, toughness, those played a little bit more of a factor. There's a little bit more independence as kids. And again, now it's we're trying to protect. You're trying to provide good environments. So it's like for the kids, but it's like, where's the line?
Yes.
Like, am I kind of being a bitch right now, or am I letting the kid grow up? Like, I don't know. It's got to be both. So I think some are born with it. You see a lot of like younger siblings, the youngest brother of 4, it's probably going to be the grittiest in the family. Right? Yeah. Right? So go play goalie. Part of it's that.
Yeah.
But I love it because I always ask younger people, do you know what that word means?
Yeah.
Right? And they kind of,
everyone has their own definition.
That's
of it,
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And I think it's willingness to do hard things. That's certainly in there. No quit, like getting back up after you fall down. That one sounds kind of cliche, but that's like at the heart of it.
Yeah.
And passion and perseverance for long-term success, right? So like we're not grinding right now to win everything tomorrow. We're grinding today because when we add up all the todays, when you open up your wallet and someone says, okay, here you go, and you give them all the todays, that's a season.
Yeah.
That's a year. And understanding that today's grind it's long term, like it's for something over there. That's not the world that we live in anymore. Everything's immediate, so.
Yeah, I was going to say, or I was going to ask, working with young athletes, hockey players mostly, and we didn't have it growing up, social media. And what that does to either inhibit...
You'd be in jail. I'd be your cellmate.
Can you imagine cell phones in the like hockey locker room growing up? Like, no.
I don't even talk about it. Yeah. But you're right.
Like, I just think, social media and technology, obviously there's a lot of pros with it and things that you can do with it and knowledge to be gained and networking and connectivity, pick your buzzword. But I also think that there's a lot of negativity and things that lead to poor performance for athletes with social media and cell phones in particular.
There's a whole, I agree with you 1,000%.
Yeah.
There's a whole perspective, I think, on that. What I will say, though, about the cell phones, the social media, that sort of stuff, what I think is different is that it highlights the win. It doesn't show the grind.
Doesn't show the work.
Doesn't show the work, right? And if most people knew the work, like everybody wants the accolades.
Yeah.
But no one says, yes, please, I want the grind. And we were talking about it earlier, like you gotta like the suffering, you have to be able to keep the suffering in perspective, and is it really this bad?
You have to enjoy the grind.
Yeah.
That's what we were talking about before, is that telling my son that, not only to keep it fun and everything else, but you have to enjoy the grind.
Yeah.
And when you can enjoy the grind and it doesn't feel like work, it feels like meditation. It feels like play.
It's discipline. It's discipline, habits, and that I think leads to the behaviors. I think it's if you have to be motivated,
Yeah.
right? Motivation fades.
Yeah.
That's when it gets a little dicey.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think that's true even, as adults, as we grow up.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been jobs that I've had where I hate putting on the company shirt.
Yep.
I have no motivation to go do this.
Yep.
Like, I'm forcing myself to do it because I'm disciplined, but the motivation's not there. And when you feel that way with anything, like, you're not going to be successful.
Yep.
Like, whatever it is in life, whether it's sports as a kid or your job as an adult, like, if there's nothing that you enjoy, like, at all about it, and it feels so just woe is me, and I'm walking into the office with the weight of the world, like.
So, and that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
That's the passion part.
Yeah.
That it's that plus the perseverance for the long-term goal, right? Like, if it's not authentic, if you aren't it, if you aren't believing it, if it doesn't embody you, like, all I ever wanted to do was play hockey. No one had to tell me to go skate every minute if I could, right? So when I was in high school, I was playing every day, and in college, like, I loved it. I don't know if you always see that with younger people today. Sometimes it kind of feels like work, they're busier, they're on this club team, this activity. I mean, I get it. But I agree with you that grit component, being obsessed, you have to want to do the work, that's the foundation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and, like, how do you, I guess it goes back to it of being able to teach a parent or figure it out as a parent. Like, how do you instill that in a kid without just burning them out and destroying what was their love of a sport, right?
Yep. I hear that a lot. That's why I think parents, sometimes they benefit from the conversation of helping their son or daughter in anything, define the why. Like, what's the why of it? Like, why are we grinding? Why are we doing this? Right? Because when we can see it, we can at least plot a direction for it, celebrate the achievements, make changes, right? But something has to be driving. Whatever it is, like, pick your thing.
Yeah.
If you don't know the destination, it's very hard to plot the course.
That's really beautifully put.
I ask younger. It's common with, like, adolescent boys. We were probably the same way. Hey, how'd you play this weekend? Good.
Yeah.
And my next question is always, what does good mean? Like, help me understand what good means. And very rarely, it's not their fault, but very rarely can they, there's no definition of it. What good means to them is scored, didn't score, outcome, right? So a big part of what I do is I don't know what success means for you, but if we can't define it, I don't know if you played good or not, but if you don't know, like, how do you know you didn't play well if we don't even know what that means?
No, I love that. I mean that's even a confidence builder or a self-confidence builder too, in a way, because I know, talking to my son, talking to other kids, you ask them something like that and it's like, how'd you play? Good.
Yep.
All right, well, what does that mean?
I always say,
what does you need to talk up, explain to me, what does good mean, right? Yep. But that's something else that bringing other people on here and just talking and sharing, like, our stories. You said it. Like, what is success to you, right? Yep. Like, everyone has a different version of success. Some people think it's the car. Some people think it's the house and the girl and the job. Some people think it's just, I just want to do something, like write a book, right? And then, like, I feel successful, right? But definitely be able to figure out, like, what your goal is. Like, that's how you plot that course, right? For me, when I got injured, I knew I wanted to get up and walking. Like, that's the course. Like, I know it's going to be tough. There's going to be ups and downs, but, like, I'm dedicated to, like, this is it.
And think how much easier, though, not easier, think how much more, how you were able to do that.
Yeah.
Because focus, all of a sudden you can, okay, it's not that way, it's this way.
Yeah.
And then your shift kind of went like this, right? It's like, and it's not that you weren't trying to say, I'm not going to think about that. It's just, that's not in your lane. So it's not that I'm not thinking about that. I am thinking about this.
Yeah.
Every day. Grind.
My buddy, who I had on here, Alex Hooper, he's another West Pointer SF guy. and we were talking about it, I think, on here.
Is that the Zyn show?
Yes.
You guys are sliding the tobacco products across the table or whatever.
Not sponsored by,
I know.
What was it? AOP, Tucker Carlson's like
that's
Zyn
right.
company, whatever it is.
Alp or something, maybe? Yeah.
Alp, yeah.
Yeah.
American Lip Pillow, I think what it stands for.
When the show started like that for you guys, you sucked me right in. I'm like, I'm in.
We're just here to bullshit.
I know.
And tell good stories. But we were talking about it, how like when we were getting ready for selection, it almost felt like life was difficult, but it was also easy in a way of like, this is what I got to do.
That's right.
I'm going to get up at 4. I'm going to go do a PT session with the SF recruiter to get ready for selection. I'm then going to go do PT with my platoon. I'm then going to have a whole day of work. Maybe I'll take a nap in my car for 20 minutes to recover. And then I'm going to go do a gym session in the evening, right? And it's a lot, but you are so focused and so dedicated on your goal. And honestly, I think that's where we were talking about this before too, where a lot of people retiring from the military, especially from a high level, like a tactical athlete, like someone coming from special forces or a SEAL or a Ranger, where every day you're so dedicated, you're so mission focused. Like an athlete, that's on Monday. On Tuesday, you retire, and it's like, what do I do with this focus? And you go from this to this.
That's right.
And
I can only speak on the athlete side. It certainly went through that, and you get like tenacious about. That's just the way that we're wired, but all of that lifestyle, that DNA, that doesn't just stop.
Yeah,
it's I'm like, our yard is going to look so sick. But I don't know if like, what are your thoughts? Is like do you think they're pretty gritty, your kids?
Yes and no, right? Like, yes, I think that Gina and I do a good job as parents of trying to be tough on them. And I say that with a grain of salt because we live in Boca Raton, Florida, and we joke about it that it's the Boca bubble, right? And it's like Potomac, Maryland. It's like the Great Neck, Long Island, where Gina and I grew up, right? It's like, it's very nice. And, you want that for your kids. You want your kids to have better than you had and to provide for them. And you don't want them to want. However, they need to figure out that internal want and that drive for stuff. So it's like a balance of like...
Is it that you don't want them to want, or... I know what you're saying. You don't want them to struggle and feel pain.
Yeah, but they have to.
That's right.
They have to.
That's right.
And I remind myself that it would be hurting them more to not let them fall than to let them fall and scrape their knee and figure it out.
That's right.
And as a parent, your first thought is, oh my God, I got to catch them, right? Or like helicopter parent. But you need to be able to realize, like, and see the bigger picture, right? Of like, I need to teach this kid to pick themselves up.
That's right.
Get back in there and go fix that. That's right.
One of the mic drop lines in this, it was don't block the bruise that builds the backbone, like, to a parent, right? And that's like, it's dialed, right? Like, that's, you say that to a parent, you're like, ooh, that cuts. That cuts.
Because
you don't want them to fall, you want to be.
And going back to like the grit muscle, growing up, I didn't have a horrible childhood growing up. Like, my parents gave me what they could and provided, and they signed me up for sports. But my parents ended up getting divorced. When it came for hockey, I would have to walk to the rink, right? Like, mom and dad didn't come and watch me play all the time, like all the other parents. I would have to take my hockey bag and walk 10 minutes, to the rink, because either mom was working or she was doing something else or watching my brother, which, looking back on it, like, at the time, I'm like, man, this sucks, but looking back on it.
Love it.
But now it's like, I'm glad that I had to
help
go through
build
that.
you.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's the balance, because that scenario, bring that scenario into 2025.
Yeah.
You like people will be calling child services on you.
Right, making them walk to the
yeah. They'd have kids have phones in both hands.
Yeah.
It's just different. You
Yeah.
know? So
I see kids on, they all have the electric scooters that they pull up to. Like they don't even walk to practice anymore. They have to take the electric scooter to practice.
It's different. It's now, this is how I know we've gotten older, because I remember like when our parents would talk like this, or our grandparents, and you're like, "What? You don't even know."
Yeah.
But that is true. Like those moments. So that's why I think gritty environments can be built.
Yeah.
They can be enforced, even with today's other things.
Is that something, if you have, I guess like a client or a kid that you're working with, is that something, do you also work with the parent and say like,
yes,
how are you creating a gritty environment, or what are you doing to help build resiliency?
So it's funny you said that. So over the years, right, it was a lot, pros would reach out first, or college athletes who, they understood that something could be better, right? And I didn't think that mindset was like power skating or like dribbling a soccer ball. Like it's the foundation of the building. I don't care what you're going to try to put on top of it later. If that foundation isn't there, you could have the best shot ever.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's not.
Well, look, I mean, there's tons of professional athletes. I mean, I can't really think of any off the top of my head, but I know that if we sat here and thought about it, we'd figure it out. Guys that had tons of skill, they make it to the NFL or NHL or NBA, and they shit the bed. People sometimes get weird when I say this. I think that I tell everybody this. I think talent is grossly overrated. It matters. Yeah.
There's no doubt it matters. Skill matters. Skilled players matter. Skilled whatever matters. But I think talent can move needles. Like mindset though moves mountains. What's the anchor, right? So, and that's why I don't say mental performance. Like when you and I were playing, no one wants to go talk to the mental person. Like that's the last person I'm going to talk to.
Yeah.
Like in the college environment.
It's funny that you say that. At school, we had a place called, at West Point, we had the Center for Enhanced Performance. And a guy named Dr. Nate Zinzer, who has since written many books.
At West Point.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Super great guy.
Yep.
I use them. But it's funny when you say that of like, all right, I can either go up and get extra stick time, or I can go to the gym and catch an extra lift. Or I can go walk all the way up to the 6th floor of this building and go talk to him about manifesting me scooping up the ground ball
with your fake mustache and your big hat. No, I know, but so that's the exact reason why I don't say mental toughness. I don't say mental performance, because I try and tell parents or players I don't work with broken people.
Yeah,
this isn't about you being broken or not. I'm flipping it, saying this is the foundation. If the foundation isn't there, I don't care what you're trying to do later, but something, you got to be able to lean on something, because the adversity might not come today, tomorrow, but
it's coming. Something's going to happen.
And this work maybe prolongs it, helps you navigate through it, helps you refocus on well, now what? The world didn't end, right?
Yeah.
And what I started seeing, especially in the facility where I met you, was right around that 15, 16 year mark of a really, really talented athlete. Everybody had game at that point. Everybody had jump. Everybody could skate. Everybody was strong. What was the determining factor of who was going to keep progressing?
Yeah.
Very rarely was it the most talented. The person had talent, but they were just you can't, I have no quit button. Right?
Dude, there's a buddy of mine. We became friends down here. We met through our wives. And he played hockey.
Is he a dance dad?
No. He's a hockey guy.
Does he know you're a dance dad?
Yeah. I should get that shirt.
Yeah,
I need
you
to
should.
get a shirt that says
you
dance
can pull.
dad.
I couldn't pull it off.
I
you could pull it off.
A muscled shirt that says dance
so
dad.
So tight. Yeah.
So anyway, he played hockey up in. I think he went to St. Chaddock's or Chaddock St. Mary's.
Yep.
And he from Wisconsin. He got drafted. He had an NFL PA card or NHL PA card. He got drafted. I don't think anything after that happened. Now he works in finance down here. Yep. Super cool guy. But we were talking about that. We were watching, I forget who it was, somebody on the Blues, and he's like, dude, I played with him growing up, and we're both in our 40s, and that guy's still in the league playing. And he's like, yeah, he's like, it was funny because he was always like a B level player. It was never like an A. It was like sometimes a C plus, sometimes a B minus, a B plus. But he just always continued to progress and just continued to work. And he's like, it's funny looking back, like those are the guys that end up making it pro. Always. It's not the kid that at 15 years old is a stud. Rarely does the kid that's 15 or 16 that is a standout player. He's the one that's a standout player in the pros.
Might not even be playing in 2 years.
It may not even be playing.
Yep.
It's always the kid that has always been like a C plus, but has the work ethic, has the grit, has the mental piece that,
And that's why I think that all of this can be taught. So over the years, we go younger and younger, right? And it's through the parents that it's not, I don't know if there's something wrong with your kid or not. Like, that's not what this is about.
Yeah.
This is about all those other foundational things that a lot of the clients, parents, the kids become better students, or they're better children, or better brother, better sister, right? So in this journey, when there's a parent involved, and that's most of the clients, kids 14, 15, 16, we do so much communication with the player, but the parents get all of the information. Like, we're never just randomly messaging the player.
Yeah.
So parents, I think, learn, we start kind of getting on the same page with language, what things not to say, what things to say. So to your earlier question, I think it's a learning process for the parents also. And that's arguably like the most important. Someone has to help reinforce and steer the behavior. I think it's learning how to steer the behavior, right? So the perfect example would be, I have no idea if Peyton plays and he didn't like his performance after the game, the car ride home. Like that's a tough one,
yeah.
Right? And it's
also depends what parent is in the car too.
Yeah, I understand. I hear this a lot.
Yeah.
Which is funny, when this book first came out, there were a lot of people were buying it, and so I'll sign it, and I'll say, oh yeah, who do you want me to sign it to? It was women, and they would say, can you write it to my husband? Like, all the dads needed it, but I get it, but it's at that point, I think it's steering behavior.
Yeah,
and that's when you got to lean on the child to, you're either going to entertain kind of the drama, or the mind starts running, and that's when it's like, well, now what? And I don't know if your analysis player is right or wrong. Is there any proof to that? Right? Because thoughts are just thoughts. Thoughts aren't facts. So before we start getting crazy, like, is that really the case, or are you just thinking that?
Yeah. And
then parents can kind of be like, well, if that's what you think, like, what could be done next time if that's where you want to go, and then all of a sudden player-parent conversation shifts away from that, and now we're problem solving, not just kind of like problem reporting or living in that drama.
Yeah.
But that's so teaching that with players can do that on their own, but it has to be taught.
So what are some of the tools that Mental Edge Hockey has for players and families? Because it sounds like it's not just about the player too, but it's also about the parent and support system.
A lot of communication. There's a lot of testing that we do that kind of establishes baselines. Everything is linear. Everything is out in the open. I can show you the development. We can target those areas between like the belief, attitude, grit, like where are we? We got to have a starting point, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes this one can impact that one, and that one can impact that one. But we really kind of teach the concept where it's like, mindset is going to shape your perspective. Perspective builds belief. Belief fuels confidence. Confidence enhances performance. So
it's a bunch of dominoes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And in that journey, for some people, that happens in a millisecond. Some people might, as they're learning it happens maybe in 3 minutes. But if there's a break in that chain anywhere, belief kind of jumps off track. So a lot of interactive worksheets, a lot of exercises, a lot of stuff. But this is not like go outside and run 10 miles homework.
Yeah.
Like, this is mantras, it's thought pieces, it's a lot of diagrams. A lot of people are very, very visual.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of reinforcement. And super rewarding work, at times challenging, because our thing is like, I'm going to meet you where you are. you know, like you're different than everybody else, but it's my job. I'm going to meet you where you are.
Yeah.
You might be higher on the belief spectrum and maybe not so much on the self-awareness. So I think it's someone that really has like the best interests of their child at hand. And that really is kind of a thing that's cultural for me and my business. That helps them advance. And it's a lot of communication, a lot of feedback, a lot of listening.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a big one.
Yeah.
Happens a little bit quicker with some of the females, right? They're okay with kind of communicating. The boys were kind of like pulling teeth. I almost wish like sometimes maybe the girls would talk a little less, boys would talk a little more, you know, somewhere right in the middle. But that's where I think kind of true development happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I mean, we're about an hour. I don't have
whatever you want.
I think this is a good place to stop.
Love it.
I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, man. So good to see you.
The first book I read like super fast because it was such a cool. I like the fact, and you mentioned it, where you just any page you open up and it's like quote, little blurb, quote, little blurb. I was like, oh, that's awesome. So
pull some nuggets out of there.
I'll definitely go through this one pretty fast too. Pass it on to Gina as well and some of my fellow dance dads.
Yeah, that's right.
Dude, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you, man.
Awesome.
Appreciate it. Yep, love it.